Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 198 right now with professional MMA odds maker Nick Kalikas of MMAOddsBreaker.com. All right, Nick Kalikas, Cris Cyborg finally in the UFC. And here we go, right? Another one of these lines. The last line I saw, Cris Cyborg minus 1,700 and Leslie Smith plus 1110 on the other side. The total might be the only bettable way to bet this fight. It's a 1.5. The under is minus 245. So obviously the market expecting a quick finish from Cris Cyborg. That makes total sense. Cyborg is, rocked most of her competitors in MMA. And, Leslie Smith has easily been beaten by lesser fighters than Cris Cyborg. I don't know, man. First of all, let's start with how the public is betting this. Where'd you open this line, and what drove it to minus 1,700?
I opened at minus 1,200 for Cyborg, and it did actually got bet down originally. So there was action coming in on the dog, and it dipped down. I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say it was as low as around 800 or so at one point. And then it started getting bet back up, obviously, and parlay action started coming in. Of course, straight action started coming in as well. Cyborg, they've been waiting a long time to get Cyborg into the UFC. Of course, the weight issue is her main problem for cutting down to 135. That's why. But this is obviously a catch weight fight as well. So they kind of solved that, and they gave the fans what they wanted to see, and that is Cyborg in the UFC. So she's coming in. I don't expect her to lose this fight, obviously. I mean, she does have that crazy knockout power, and Leslie Smith is very hittable, and I don't think she's going to be able to absorb the punishment that Cyborg's going to throw at her. So it's fair. I mean, I thought 12 to 1's a pretty fair number. And a lot of times when I do post lines at certain sports books, they'd rather it get bet up than bet down, if that makes any sense at all. So it's better to stay on the lower part and have the public kind of cut their own throats in a sort of way. But in this fight, I don't think they're going to do that, because I think Cyborg is probably going to come through.
Well, listen, Leslie Smith is, famous for having that fight where her head exploded and she toughed it out. She wanted to keep going. So she's not really going to get intimidated by Cris Cyborg. The problem is that she is just undersized against Cyborg, right? She's about a 135 natural fighter, and now she's facing, one of the toughest 145-pound fight, or the toughest 145-pounder in the game. So it's hard to make a case for why Leslie Smith might have a chance, but especially in women's MMA recently, you've seen a lot of big upsets with big underdogs like this. Am I going to be betting Leslie Smith? No, but if you had to make a bet here and you had to take either Cris Cyborg with your own money, this is Nick Kalikas, you had to take either Cris Cyborg at minus 1,700 or Leslie Smith at plus 1110, which would it be?
No question. It'd be on the dog. There's no way I would lay it. I mean, it's an MMA fight. Anything could happen. Any crazy stuff can happen. So, yeah, I would probably take a stab at Smith at that price. But personally, like I said, I would probably pass this fight overall, like you just said as well. So I won't be touching it. But if I had to make a bet, I would probably go on Leslie Smith. And part of it you touched on, honestly, she's not afraid. She's not intimidated. She was one of the first women to step up and take this fight. And it's no gimmick for her. I mean, she's a very confident fighter. She believes that she can beat anybody on the planet. And what you got to love that. You got to respect her. She is a warrior for sure. I just think she's just outclassed here. She's too hittable, and with all that power, she's probably going to end up getting finished. Like you said, her ear exploded against Jessica Eye. Cyborg hits even harder than Jessica Eye, so not a very good situation for her.
So it sounds like then the books are going to actually be needing Smith here, and that if Cyborg wins, it'll be a small loss?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not even going to be a big deal, honestly. If Cyborg does come through, I don't think they're going to take that big of a hit. But yeah, if Cyborg loses, it's going to be a very nice night. So it'll be a situation like that. So in a good spot.
All right, and then quickly, just what about the under 1.5 rounds? That's also a big favorite line, minus 245. But I guess you got to figure if Smith does get a win here, she finishes Cyborg, early and quickly in a surprise, or she gets knocked out herself. What about under 1.5 rounds at minus 145?
At minus 145, if it's 245. At 245, I probably wouldn't touch it, because Leslie Smith is a very tough chick. She is definitely, she could take a beating. Like you said, she didn't want to quit when her ear was just basically hanging there. So I don't think she has that quitter, and she's going to have to be out cold, or the referee's going to have to just kind of show her mercy and stop the fight if she's going to go out. So it's a little bit too dangerous to lay 2.5 to 1 basically on the under 1.5 rounds here. Although it should probably end within the first 7.5 minutes. But yeah, there's no value at all where the price is now, no doubt.
All right, nice to see Cris Cyborg in the UFC, but from the betting perspective, it's going to be a pass for me, and sounds like it's going to be a pass for Nick as well. Thanks so much, Nick.
Yep. Thank you.